In the corners of the internet where disillusioned men congregate, a curious phenomenon persists. Individuals who proudly wield their racial identity, black or white, as both sword and shield. Not in the pursuit of truth or dignity, but as a desperate cope for personal inadequacy. These aren't thinkers or achievers. They are, more often than not, people who are ignored by the very societies they claim to dominate in historical memory. The race pill, as it's known, is the belief that one's racial ancestry predetermines social value, attractiveness, or moral worth. While this narrative parades around in pseudo-scientific language and AI-generated regality, it's almost always pushed by normies or sub-5 South who lack real-world appeal, achievement, or personal refinement. In short, the loudest race pill pushers are almost always the people least served by evolution, least grounded in reality, and most allergic to accountability. Let's break it down. The Black Cope. Some black race pill copers live in a fantasy, where they are the reincarnations of pharaohs, kings, or pre-colonial gods, despite working a dead-end job and having no leadership qualities to speak of. That's assuming they actually have a job to begin with. The amount of NEETs in America has increased after all. These copers wield the imagery of Mansa Musa, Egyptian royalty, and Zulu generals like cosplay, not as cultural heritage, but as digital camouflage for insecurity. They conveniently ignore uncomfortable facts, such as the persistence of archaic hominin DNA in certain sub-Saharan populations. It's a form of hyper-historical escapism. It's the black version of I'm white. Nikola Tesla is also white. The worse the present feels, the more glorious the past. That isn't yours becomes the white cope. White race pill copers fetishize Neanderthal DNA like it's a badge of superiority, ignoring the fact that Neanderthals were an extinct subspecies that couldn't survive competitive evolution. Their pride is based on a fragment of archaic genome that does nothing for personal merit, attractiveness, or relevance in the modern world. They post AI-generated Nordic kings as profile pictures, flex imaginary lineages, and somehow manage to both idolize classical Rome and pretend they're victims of cultural erasure. Most have never read a single book on classical civilization. They just Google Roman chat AI and call it history. Shared delusions. What unites these groups is not race, but coping through historical LARPing. They wear the skin of ancient greatness because their present life feels unbearably small. They turn race into a scoreboard, ancestry into an excuse, and ancient artifacts into Tinder bios. You'll often see them being pro-interracial and anti-interracial, as if either of these copers will actually mix with anyone from their own race or others. The ugliest irony? Many of these race-obsessed tinsels attack Muslims and Jews while ignoring the fact that these religious systems have historically offered the very structure and discipline they lack. Islam, for example, demands modesty, cleanliness, prayer, brotherhood, and discipline, traits that could radically improve the lives of many race-pilled loners if they actually adopted them. Judaism, meanwhile, emphasizes education, family, and critical thinking, values that build strong intergenerational success. In other words, if they were less bitter and more open-minded, they might actually find purpose in the very traditions they mock. Final verdict: the race pill is not enlightenment. It is not rebellion. It is not truth. It's a sad, pixelated hallucination. It is the desperate last-ditch effort of men who don't lift, don't read, don't lead, and aren't loved, but who demand reverence because of ancient blood they didn't earn, can't understand, and probably don't even have. If you need an AI-generated photo of a handsome king in your PFP to feel like a king, then you aren't one.